Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer, and this is the Road to the Record, where I work to achieve mastery of 10 games in a hunt for the best score of the Decathlon. If you like what you see, remember to hit that like button, and if you want to see more, hit subscribe. Let the games begin. This is Motorsport Manager, and it is week number 10. We are wrapping up the season in this episode. We are late in our practice session, right before our final race of the year. Setup's looking quite good on the cars, but not quite perfect. This is their in-lap. They just finished their first running lap of the race, of the practice session, and as is the norm, we're not doing so hot. We're in 18th and 20th overall. We just have cars that are that much slower than everyone else. We, however, look like we're about to unlock, there we go, level 1. So we're not going to have great bonuses for this final race. The team's looking in sad shape, and we might actually be losing our job, so we have a lot riding on this race, really. 97% setup. It's just the downforce that's not quite right now. So we'll tweak that just that little bit more. See if we can't get a few additional percentage points. Alright, 5 seconds and then we're heading back out. Our other car, close as well, also 97%. Our downforce was already great. It's still great, but not quite perfect. Let's see, we were 93% last time, so we did apparently go in the right direction. Handling went to excellent. Speed balance just a little off. We're only going to mess with the downforce, though. Means a little bit more to the right. Alright, this will take us to the end of the session, and then we're going to get into that final race of the season, and then we'll see what happens there. Financially, we're close to broke, but we are going to make it, so we did cover ourselves just good enough for the year on that part. Alright, still not quite right on the setup, but we are so close. This is another track that does not favor our weaker team. We did, however, get our parts in really good shape for this final race of the season, finally. Took us all the way to the last race of the season to get where we wanted, but of course that's part of how this works, because they change rules every year. You start with new stuff, and no, I don't want to auto pick. Let's see here. Pit stop, yes. Race trim, yes. And here we'll just take the bonuses. Alright, let's get into that setup. So 97% we dropped. How did we go? Not sure how that changed, but we'll take that. Okay. And we stayed at 97%, which means we didn't gain. So we might want to take the couple ticks that way and try that, see if that doesn't get us a little better. We do not want to run the softs, even though they are faster. We just don't have the tire wear to be able to do that. That's one of the reasons why we run at the back, because our chassis is in horrible shape. 10 laps of fuel, 23 lap race. And our other car, we did pick up that percentage point. We're at 98 now. Not perfect, but definitely a good setup, especially for a short practice session. It should put us ahead of most of the other cars. Okay, as is the norm, we'll run hard early on. Though, you know what? I don't want to run that hard. Pick starting in 4th anyway, so we're not going to run them quite as hard. We're gonna see if a car can last just that little bit longer. Alright, here we go. It's race day, final race of the season. We are in Doha. And Quinn, terrible start. Pick gets a decent start, gets up beside Quinn, and to the lead, but then runs wide all the way back to 9th place. So Pick overshoots the first corner, took the lead, and pays the price. Wow, look how fast he's going backwards. He is in 20th, just a few turns into the race. All right, well, we are definitely going to go for a strategy of making things last. Meanwhile, Quinn had a terrible start, which is what put Pick to push into that first corner to get ahead of Quinn. Gets into the lead and then overshoots the corner. Could not brake in time. What a terrible start from both drivers. Quinn's start was a lot worse, but Pick's mistake was a lot more costly. Quinn pushing back up into 3rd place here near the end of the first lap. They're on the front stretch now, and 3rd place. So Quinn actually has a chance, if they can hold their position a bit, to do decently well. Meanwhile, Pick, we're definitely going to be looking for pit stop strategy to gain some position on the track, as they are definitely in the pack, back of the field. So we want to maintain those tires and that fuel level for a while. You know, I've never even tried. I might try for this slower the speed and make just one pit stop. You know what? Let's do it. We're going to see. We're way back in the back of the field. We're not going to finish very high. Quinn's running strong in 3rd place, and meanwhile I should actually start backing off a bit here so that Quinn's strategy will hold a bit. So Quinn's running near the front of the field, and if we can keep that up, we'll push from here to run that standard 2-stop strategy and see if Quinn can't at least hang on a bit and finish towards the front of the field. That would be a fantastic finish if Quinn can hang on. And meanwhile, Pick, who's literally last place, we're going to try another strategy out there, try to conserve fuel and stop just once halfway through. We'd need to get to somewhere around lap 12. One of these 2 pit stops we would need 2 extra laps out of. If we can at least make it to lap 11 on this one, I'd give us a chance that we can make it to lap 12. I mean, we did start a little aggressively on the engine mode and did not go conserve immediately. Alright, so Quinn has dropped a place, but is holding pretty well in 4th. Not too bad overall, especially when this is our weaker driver. But our 2 cars now are just about level as we're here in this final race of the season. So again, Pick, we're sticking with the strategy, low engine mode, trying to save fuel, but we'll run that little bit harder on the tires. They seem to be holding fairly well there, so they will last. Quinn, meanwhile, is doing okay, not too hot, so our tires look like they're going to hold up okay. It's not the tires that are going to be the issue, it's the fuel. Meanwhile, Quinn's still hanging on to 4th place, but definitely slowly sliding backwards. We were in 3rd, just behind the 2nd place car, and then we got passed, and now as we slip back away from the 3rd place car, we've got 3 cars right on our tail, so we could easily lose 3 places or more all at once. Field is actually really tight. Pick, meanwhile, has actually gained a position despite our conservative strategy right now. Tire wear wise, yes, we're pushing a little, but I mean, look at the temp. It's not really an issue at all. Right, so Quinn, 4.5 laps of fuel left. Definitely going to be a concern. We're going to speed things up a little bit more. Quinn hanging on nicely. We did do well on this track last year with our one and only podium. Of course, we had a lot better drivers. We had a lot better pit crew. We had a lot better race mechanics. We just let all those contracts expire because we were dead broke. And this year, even though we are broke right now, it's not because of financial hardships. It's because we spent everything we had to make upgrades, both in parts and to the team headquarters. So we made a lot of improvements there, and we're finally out of last place on headquarters, as we had a recent project finish up and started up one more. Quinn still hanging on nicely to 4th place, so solid performance there. And Pick, for a moment, was up to 18th. So Pick is, there we go, back to 18th, makes that pass, and still just behind Mena for 17th, so could potentially gain another position soon. And all the while is on that strategy. 4 laps of fuel remaining, and we're just hitting lap number 8. So I think we can get to lap 11 for Pick, and might be able to get 12 laps out of that last stop. Quinn finally drops a place, but that looks like that's one of the cars that was on the rise, and not the car that's been behind us all along, who is still appears to be the car still behind us. So that was one of the faster cars working their way up through the field. Okay, and here we go. Quinn is less than 1 lap of fuel left, and also 20%. So let's go ahead and bring Quinn in this time. Meanwhile, we're late on lap number 8 right now. Okay, all the parts are holding up well. We got everything to 100%. 15 seconds for this upcoming stop, and here goes Quinn. 2nd car overall into the pits. So far so good. Fueling done, and Quinn is back out on the track. It looks like one car that was just behind us came out just ahead of us. But Quinn holding up nicely. Pick still not in, and we're going to change our focus to Pick for a little bit. We are going to try to stretch this fuel as far as we can. And let's see where we are on the track. If we're going to get that bonus lap, it looks like... Okay, so if we stop right here, we're about to cross the line. We're right at 2 laps of fuel to go, just a shade under. So we should be able to make that up, get 2 more laps, and this is already now lap 10. So I think we're going to be able to get 12 laps out of this stop for Pick. And if you look at the tires, let's back off on that. I think we can squeeze, well, 1 more lap, yes, but the second one, I think we're going to lose a little bit of time there. But meanwhile, Pick is hanging on, and I think we can make it 11 laps on the end. If we can make it 12 here. No. This will actually be 11. Because we're running the 10th right now, and we're only going to get 1 more lap out of it. Okay, there we go. Just crossing the line. Now we can make it, and we can go normal burn. Sadly, though, the tires are hurting. We're going to lose some time this lap. Hopefully not too much time to where it runs us off for the final. That also means if we're going to the end on just 1 stop, we're going to struggle those last couple laps. Because, I mean, look, we're well under that 20%. This is a slow lap for us. Cars are already gaining on us. Let's see what our pace is like. Actually, not too bad. Pace isn't too bad, so we are hanging on. That's good. Oh, I almost did not set up my pit stop. Alright, well, we're heading into the pits now. We're going to put on those mediums to get to the end. We're not looking at any rain coming up. Definitely want to fill up. Good. Our 1 and only stop of the race. And ooh, that ups the risk a bit. Hey, it's the last race of the season. Let's go for it. Alright, Pick's coming in. Meanwhile, Quinn, tires hanging on nicely. Fuel's doing well. And Quinn is currently running 11th. And let's see where Pick comes out with their 1 and only stop of the race. Should be near the back of the field as they were there previously. Good pit stop. Not last place. So Pick has made some progress. Now let's go right back into conserve mode because we've got to get to the end. It is currently lap 12 of 23. So we did save the lap of fuel last time. We need to save 2 laps this time. But last time we started in a more aggressive mode for the first couple of laps. So we burned extra fuel and then started conserving. So we're going to conserve from the beginning here. See if we can't get to the end of this race. Currently we run 17th overall for Pick. Now 18th. But if they can more or less hold it, they could have a decent finish. Quinn, meanwhile, after that first round of pit stops, cycles through in 10th place. Not as good as they were looking before, but respectable. We've only had one top 10 finish the whole season, so to be running 10th now. And Pick, who actually just slid back to 20th overall with their conservative approach right now. And that full fuel tank when everybody else was already running partway empty does slide back through the field. But if this strategy works, Pick should be able to have possibly a mid-table finish. And Quinn, with their strategy, might just make it there as well. So we can get both cars inside the top 10. This would definitely be our best finish of the season, and could be enough, hopefully, to save our job, even though I think we're 10th place, or going to still be 10th place overall in the championship, even though the chairman's expectation was 8th. Alright, so we've got 3 laps worth of fuel left for Quinn, who is on the backstretch. So we're going to get 2 more laps before we need to pit, and we're at 39%, and we're just about to go hot, so I should probably save that so we can actually make it 2 more laps. There we go. 2 more laps, and then we'll be coming in. 8 laps left in the race, so that'll give us 6 laps for that final run. So we'll be able to save a little bit of time on that pit stop. And again, Pick, we're already trying to go for the end. Calderon has already made her second stop, and Pick has moved up ahead of there. So we'll see how Pick does in relation to that in terms of fuel. Pick does not have excess right now. Okay, Quinn is coming around one last time, 31%, so actually we should be pretty good on that one. And we're going to pit this time. Quinn is now 7th place as cars are currently running to the end. And that should get us, so just 10 seconds, but I think I need to back off. There we go, 12 seconds. You know what? Let's go ahead and push it for Quinn too. Why not? Last race, last pit stop, hopefully, if our strategy works. 10 seconds if we make it. Pretty high risk. But we're trying to do something here. We're being aggressive. We're going for it. For Pick, we're doing the opposite, but we're actually being very aggressive when we're just going for one pit stop. Pick currently has 4 cars behind. A couple of those cars are pretty close, and we might not be able to hold them off as time goes on with their fresh tires. But there is Quinn out on track, apparently with a little bit of excess fuel, and running 15th. Oh, I thought I just ran you harder. That didn't change. All right. How are we doing on... Where are you, Pick? Let's see where they're at when we get to start-finish line. Let's see how much further we have to go. All right, right on the line with, what is it, 4 laps or 5 laps left to run? We're starting lap 19. So 19, 21, 22, 23. So 5 laps to go and just 4 laps of fuel right now. So we have a whole lap worth still to gain. We gained 1 lap so far, but that wasn't the amount we needed, because we are halfway through this, more than halfway through this run. We're 60% of the way through the run, so we might run out of fuel just before the end of the race. This is going to be close, and I'm not sure this is going to pay off. I think Pick might be suffering. But through all these pit stops, Pick is definitely moving up right now. All right, meanwhile, Quinn is in 14th, not that far behind Pick. So this extra stop has definitely cost us on the track. But again, you got to remember that Pick went all the way to the back of the field after running wide on turn number 1 right at the beginning of the race. Pick pushed into the lead but overshot that first corner, dropped more than halfway back the pack, through the pack, and by the third turn was all the way back to last place with all that momentum lost. All right, so there you go. They've gained not even 2/10, or about 2/10 in that one lap. Or is that 2 laps? In 2 laps, they've only gained 2/10. So I don't think Pick is going to make it. I think Pick is going to have to stop for a quick splash and go. Looks like the tires aren't even going to make it. All right, so here's what we're going to do. It's time. Let's push. We're going to have to pit this time for Pick. They are not going to make it to the end. I was hoping they would, but they will not. So we're going to throw on new tires, and just enough to get to the end. All right, like that. So just a quick 5-second pit stop, and we will push it. It'll be the final stop of the year. And Pick's going to push all the way to the end. All right, let's change our focus back to Quinn, who's just behind where Pick is on the track, but of course Pick's just about to come in for one last stop. So we didn't make it. It is designed to where you can't make it. I was hoping I could stretch it, but we cannot. If we had better fuel burn, I actually think we could. So our chassis is part of that. Okay, there's that quick stop. Pick is back out on the track, and not too bad. Looks like Pick. Let's check back in here. And we only have a couple of stops, so let's go ahead and push, use up the last of those tires for Quinn. Pick is in 17th, and already with brand new, fresh, soft tires and enough fuel to get to the end of the race. Pick looks to be challenging for 16th place, and should be able to get that 1, maybe 2 more spots fairly easily, though right now struggling to overtake. As we are now on the final lap, Quinn is good to go to the end, and we're going to push it also because you have more fuel to burn. Carroll ahead is looking pretty weak on the tires, but not so horribly, so I think we might hold these positions. I'm really surprised Pick could not overtake Lot there, but we do have a weak car. All right, Quinn finishes 12th, and Pick finishes 17th. This would be our second best finish of the year. Definitely is not going to be last place on the grid, as 19th and 20th are the same team, Nissani and Calderon. So we're at least not going to have a 10th place team finish, and I think we should have done enough for an 8th place team finish, enough to keep our boss happy and hopefully our job secure going into next season. And we'll see what approach I take. I'm keeping these drivers for 1 more season. I signed them both on for 2, but I think we might start trying to improve the team a little bit. But I think that'll depend partially on the chairman's expectations. I think we might try to bring on maybe 1 staff member, but we're still pretty much struggling for money, so that is going to be a big deal. So we pick up 26 points on the day, I was hoping that Pick would get that one more spot, but that still only would have been a 2-point difference. Really not a big deal. And Pick drops all the way to 19th, so we're definitely 10th place as a team. So Pick's poor performance on the day drops us to the last 2 drivers on the grid, on the standings at the end of the year. Pedro Piquet ended up winning the Drivers' Championship, and you could also see with the first and third place finish that despite Mick Schumacher's fantastic performance, well ahead of his teammate who was down in 12th, it looks like Van Amersfoort Racing will be the team on the way up. Yes, we do finish last place on the season. Hopefully that means our job is still secure, though, because I was told many times by our chairman that if we finished in 10th, we would be fired. But in terms of job security, our job is just secure, meaning it was not under threat. So, moment of truth is coming up here in just a moment. I will run this episode that little bit longer just to see where we finish up as we head into the off season and whether we still have a job. Ooh, that was only 9th for the race. Really? That hurts. We end up dropping the happiness by 8%. So we go from secure, which was above 50%, and we actually slip to a not so great standing. So our job is in jeopardy here. Yeah, money-wise, $1 million left. Not a lot for next year's car. Oh, wow. And in the final race of the season, there hadn't been some updates. There had been quite a few races run. We had more than a month from our last race to this race. And from the last episode, was a couple races back. Hamilton had actually slipped from the lead. Sebastian Vettel had come from 4th or 5th in the standings all the way up to first place. But in the final race, Lewis Hamilton wins here also at Doha and retakes the championship standings lead. And since it's the final race of the season, the title goes to Lewis Hamilton. However, Mercedes do not win the Constructors' Championship because his teammate and real-life teammate, Valtteri Bottas, all the way down in 6th place. And so Red Bull wins by a single point. Wow, how close can you get? 532 to 531. Scuderia Ferrari takes 2nd, just like they did in real life, but Red Bull and Mercedes flip in the runaway 3-team Constructors' Championship. The newly promoted MP Motorsport is going to be going right back down to the Formula 2 category. And speaking of Formula 2, they finish up their final race of the season. Oliver Rowland wins the race and the title. And Prima Powerstream is the team going up. So Sauber does not rubber band. They stay in the Formula 2 category. And Racing Engineering with just 4 points on the season. And let's see, who are their drivers? At least currently. Delatraz didn't even score any points this season. The only driver in the category to not score any points. They're going to be coming down. And of course, in our series, Joel Eriksson wins the race. Quite the boost for them as they were in the back of the standings. No wonder I dropped down. Joel Eriksson, 42 points in the race for a total of 78 on the season. So just as Quinn had a good race holding near the front, Joel Eriksson stayed on top all the way to take the checkered flag. And look at that. Jake Hughes, High Tech Racing, who were last place overall, takes third. So our impressive performance of taking 12th for Quinn actually wasn't impressive at all, as the other teams held on even better than we did. So the team heading up is Van Amersfoort, and we finished dead last. Not as terrible as it could be. We picked up 85 points. It wasn't a distant 10th place, but Carlin and High Tech, great finish to the season for them, jumping up in the standings, and we'll see. Pedro Piquet wins the championship and the Constructors' Championship. And we'll see. I should probably know right now here as I check my emails whether I still have a job or not going into next season. You can see just how difficult it is for us to compete. Our car, dead last. The drivers, dead last. And that is partially my fault. I had good drivers last season, but we could not afford to keep them with our balance the way it was, and we just made it as we did on the season. But our headquarters has taken a jump. We were dead last. We are now 7th, and we have a scouting center halfway done. So that should help us boost up even more. Our staff, dead last. Our sponsors is the one area where we've actually been doing okay, but we lost a sponsor from the last race to this race and got no offers for a replacement, which was a little strange. So that dropped us to 9th. And our pit crew is coming along a little bit in 8th place. And I think that's one area where we can, from an affordable standpoint, make some improvements this next season to help us along. Okay, moment of truth. Let's check the mail. Car condition, not worried about that. Here's an interview. Let's go ahead and go into that. Arthur Pick has claimed that your engine seems to be holding the team back. Definitely. Technical commentators seem to agree. Yes, I definitely need to... well, here we go. We definitely need investment, which is what I've been working on. Car's gonna... well, see, both of them are bad. All right. Oh, that hurts our chairman's happiness. Drops a little bit further, 38%. But we're not fired. We're not fired as of now. Okay, pit crew review. They did make one mistake. That might have been that last pit stop. I was not looking. All right. Well, we've got the championship wrapping up here tomorrow, so we'll see. Car repair finished. Not worried about that. There we go. All right, prize money for the season. We finished dead last. We're not bringing in a lot, but basically 11 million coming in prize money. Okay, driver of the season is Trevor Carlin of Carlin Racing. And Van Amersfoort get the driver of the season. Oh, that was manager of the season, Trevor Carlin. Manages his own team. Okay. Rules changes. We can develop brakes. Black Sea, track E, is being added. So we're going to have one more race coming in next season. And the ERS is now being added. So 3 rule changes out of 4 votes. Big year in terms of changes coming in for next season. And everybody should hopefully have brakes of a similar level coming into next season. And we shouldn't start out even further behind everybody else. We'll see, though. Promotions and relegations. We already covered that. So, let's see. Racing Engineering is the team coming down to join us in the level, and no sign of us being fired. So, we have survived. We will still be the boss heading into next year. It's a pretty good driver, but marketability is only 40%. All right. Let's go ahead and take a look. Job security is uneasy, but we are currently safe. So we did make it. We did survive on the season, but it's not looking so good going into next season. We're definitely going to have to be more competitive, but hopefully if the boss sets a goal of 10th place or better, then we should be able to recover that, as they will not hurt our job security as we go on. So our goal for next season will be big. Hopefully the chairman does not try to ask too much like they did this past season. So we'll have to check in on that next episode. I will be doing most of the off-season off camera, but we may check in here at some point. Ooh, that is a nice looking driver. Good feedback too, which would allow us to have quick improvements in practice, but marketability is only 47%. Again, I have the same drivers for next year anyway, so it's not a concern. That's not where we're going to be making the changes. It is elsewhere. It looks like we have some drivers that have already been let go from their jobs and are now available. I'll continue to do scouting even though we're not looking to make changes in the drivers lineup, but I will look into the team. Alright, well, that does it for this episode. I'm Decathlon Gamer, and remember, I'm aiming for the best of the best. So if you're ready to join me on my journey, hit subscribe, and tune in next time on my road to the record.